of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
We jump right into it. It's his Birds Breakdown. And we're a day late because Monday is now a travel day for me because it's going to be really hard for me to get back here in time and when I'm on a plane and trying to do this show on a Monday. So we may have to start doing this show on Tuesdays here. But we are here with another Birds Breakdown, our third season. And we are doing this on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, along with Northeast Streaming Sports Network. What is up? My main man, El Parcero Philly, in the house.
Yes, sir. First off, welcome back. It looked like a great time down in Atlanta. I'm sure those AT aliens treated you with the utmost Southern hospitality that they could have. We're back for another season. I'm excited for another episode of Birds Breakdown. It's crazy. We went from episode 1, the first time you and I never worked together, and we just got thrown right into the fire, going right into it, and it was a lot of fun at Tonic Seafood's sake. And I'm excited for season 2. And to start off with a big W on the road in a new era. I'm sure we're gonna talk a lot of positive things today. So let's get to it.
Absolutely. And we might as well start right off with talking about the quarterback play.
Yeah.
And my main man, Jalen Hurts, Mr.
Season.
number 40 on the list of whoever that idiot was that was talking. Saying number 40 went 27 for 35, 264 yards, and 3 touchdowns, a passer rating of a 126.4. He was sacked one time. He did rush. He ran also. He ran for another 62 yards.
Yes, sir.
I tell you, the passes weren't crisp.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like he was throwing dead on spirals, but the ball got where it was supposed to. And I mean, really, it's like he was able to make some things happen. I mean, obviously, he had that fourth down play that was a little sketch. He was able to put making an incomplete pass rather than run out of bounds like 20 yards behind the line. But overall, he did a great job, I think, managing the team, the offensive line in front of him. We'll get to them in a second. I have to get to them in a second because there's a lot of kudos that really have to go to them.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we're talking about Jalen.
Let me ask you something. How did it feel watching an Eagles offense where you don't have to worry about the quarterback holding on to the ball too long, the quarterback making the wrong throws, the quarterback, just everything, the opposite of what we saw from Carson Wentz, we saw on Sunday from Jalen Hurts. It was a breath of fresh air. To me, he looked calm and composed. He took the right steps. There was different from what we saw last year in those 4 starts. I saw a guy, he was composed and he handled the offense the right way. Using his legs to create was another breath of fresh air as well. Like, it's, we did see that a little bit in the beginning with Carson Wentz, but obviously he steered away with it. And I think the injuries did have a part in that. But seeing Jalen Hurts being able to step up in the pocket, roll out when he needed to, making plays on his legs when he needed to, but it wasn't the first thing that he thought about. It was the last option that he had. And having that weapon is really big, especially in today's NFL. The other day I'm watching the Elite Eights with my girlfriend's brother, right? And you see all these kids are able to run the ball as well as have this big arm. And we have someone that could be there for the future. There we say, was Howie Roseman not that crazy when we drafted him in the second round? I literally had these thoughts in my head as I was running today. Did Howie Roseman make the right move with that second round pick? But you mentioned the stat line. And to me, I'll say this, it was a great first step. In the first start of your first full season, it was a great first step, but there is work still to be done. I still think that he did not, pick apart the Falcons secondary the way I wanted him to. That has a lot in part to do that I felt like a lot of his weapons did make some big plays. But look, you're going to face off against tougher teams. This stretch that we're going to have here, the first half of the season, it's going to be tough. You got the reigning Super Bowl teams in your schedule the next couple of weeks. Those teams are going to challenge Jalen Hurts, and I want to see the progression as Jalen's able to pick apart defenses with that long ball. So we'll see. But this is definitely that great first step. Absolutely love what we see. He was calmly composed. And the Philly sports guy. Did you buy your Jalen Hurts jersey? Because he's the number 2 selling jersey right now in the NFL. Your Jalen Hurts. It's Hurts season, baby.
Yeah, they said that he had the largest jump up from from previous weeks to now. He was the top. He was the top mover, followed
Hurts
by
jersey.
number 2. I think number 2 was another rookie that also did pretty well this week. I don't remember which one. Maybe the one from the Patriots, but
Maybe.
ultimately, it Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts definitely did steal the show, like I said, doing really well. And I thought, and big congratulations to Nick Sirianni for winning his first game, and out of the chute, it's like we talked a lot about, hey, how is it going to be when you don't play any starters for any of the preseason games? And then you have a team like Baltimore. And I tell you, talk about decimated with injuries. They had 3 running backs that have ACLs. They lost another tackle yesterday with an ACL. I think they have 5 ACLs, in total on that team. And injuries are not something that you can plan for, but I was very happy about the fact that nobody got hurt. Everybody was able to make it through the game.
Except Marcus Epps. I'll talk about that in a little bit. That definitely pissed me off. But yeah, it was good to see no one really got hurt too badly.
Right. And that they were able to do really well. So congratulations to Nick Sirianni and the entire Eagles staff. And, again, we'll talk about the defense here in a little bit, obviously, because I have a lot to say about them as well. But, coming out of the gate, just coming right out in Atlanta, I won't call it really hostile territory because this isn't the soccer team. Yeah, this isn't the soccer team here. There was a lot of open seats out there, but we did have I did get to see the Bird Lady. They do have a super fan down there, or a couple of super fans, and we did get to tailgate some. I was with my main man, E-Rock. He was spinning some tunes and such like that. We were having a blast. And it was, like I said, it was nerving the first couple of drives because they were able to move the ball pretty well. But it was a bend, don't break defense. And they did not let them in the end zone. And after those first 2 drives, they didn't really move the ball much at all.
Right.
It wasn't like it was the first couple. And those are scripted plays, mind you. However, once the script was done, I'm not sure that the Falcons coach is, obviously this is week 1, but I can't really say that he's going to be a threat to many people in his division and in this league.
Yeah, he did a terrible debut. We talked about Sirianni having such a great debut, and I'll agree with that. I wasn't sure how he would be as a coach because I felt like he was very conservative during preseason, obviously resting all those guys, but I thought he was really aggressive yesterday. And Sunday now, and that was very refreshing to see. But Arthur Smith, man, complete opposite what Sirianni looked like. It was some bad calls, and I'm sure Matt Ryan's gonna have a long year, and he's gonna be really frustrated.
Well, their offensive line is not the best, and
we got a Temple kid, though.
They need to, they were running the ball at will.
Yeah.
Then they stopped. Running the ball. And ultimately, when you start losing, I get it. You got to try to catch up a little bit faster, but they just didn't have the weapons. There was nobody that was able to get behind them at all. Like the cornerbacks were definitely playing in front of them. No turnovers, no fumbles, but that doesn't matter when you're up by so much, and that was the thing. They put the puck in the net as far as I'm concerned, and was able to do what they were supposed to do, and put the points on the board, and that was great. And also the very first pass to Devonta Smith. I mean, they come out, and I was all excited because they went firing Quez Watkins. And then the fourth one to Quez Watkins, and that wasn't necessarily a great pass. And it was like, okay, now we're done with Quez Watkins for the day.
But how about the gumption of Sirianni? The first two plays, he calls the same play. One on the left side, the other on the right side. Oh, you know me, I love that type of that type of play call. That takes it back to like Pee Wee football. You'd run the first play on the one side, the other play, the second play on the other side. Now that was definitely dope to see. But that touch on, and that was one of my two favorite passes or throws of Jalen Hurts on the day. The touch on that first touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, put it right where Devontae met the ball perfectly. And obviously the second one where Jalen steps up in the pocket, rolls out, and throws a ball on the move, and it was perfect. He threw Dallas Goddard open. Those were my two favorite throws of Jalen Hurts on the day. That touch.
Right. And I'll say that it wasn't, again, it wasn't the bullet. You're not going to get that from him.
Right.
When they talk about the arm strength, he does not have that type of arm strength. He's not like Rodgers. He's not like, I mean, there was that one pass where it wasn't Rodgers that did it, but there was one pass that got thrown and it went right through the guy's hand and it hit the guy in the chest, bounced up in the air, and there was an interception. So I'm not sure who that was, but I remember seeing it. I'm like, wow, that was just such a laser beam that got thrown. There was no chance for that guy to really get it. So it was interesting to kind of see how that all came about. And hey, like I said, he had a couple of wobblers. That one long pass to Ertz where Ertz had to stop and come back and get it. Obviously, that was a little question mark there. The one thing that Wentz did have that Hurts does not have is when he was rolling out, when he was on the move, Wentz's arm was really accurate and good. Hurts does not have that ability. He has the ability to typically run, and he could throw the ball, but it was a wobbly duck, so that's going to be something he's got to work on. Obviously, this was week one, and there was a lot of things that that were very positive, and we're staying positive today because when you win 32-6, it is nothing but positive. It's beautiful as far as I'm concerned.
Correct.
So
let me ask you something. I saw a lot of positive things from both running backs on Sunday. Obviously, Kenneth Gainwell started getting more carries in that second half. He got himself a nice little touchdown, 37 yards. But you see the trust that in Sirianni's instilling and Kenneth Gainwell, where now he's your second back. But the way he's looking like already as a rookie in week one, how would you handle this running back core? Would you continue going like a running back by committee, going with Miles and Kenneth Gainwell, or would you give Kenneth more of the snide now as your number one?
So I think you keep it as it is. Right now, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it made me wonder, and I'm actually going to see if he actually made it on the field at all.
Boston Scott,
where was he?
I don't know if he was on the field, but he definitely did not even get a carry.
No, he did not. And he didn't.
Did he get a catch? I don't think he even got a catch.
He was on the field for 12 plays.
Okay.
So that's what I was checking, because I know he did not get a touch at all, not one touch. And I don't know that was done purposely. I think that's done because Sanders was doing pretty well. Gainwell was doing pretty well. Why use all three? Why bother? Like it's things. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. Yep.
So
I agree.
I like that. And ultimately, if you're going to do something like that, you're going to be able to keep them fresh longer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I expect that's probably going to be a little bit about what happens here. Because I don't know that he looks at Boston Scott and Sanders equally.
Right.
And the fact that Gainwell got out there for this one here, I feel that with the 49ers looming, that you're going to see more of Boston Scott than you do. And, the other thing I liked was that we saw Quez Watkins back on kickoffs. That was not something that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's been Hightower typically or Rager, but there was Watkins a couple of times back there. So I like that. I think that his speed is definitely worthwhile having him back there, because if he gets a break, you're going to be looking at his back, rather than for trying to tackle him because he's just going to blow right past people. And there was one play. It looked to me like Gainwell may have been pulling up to throw the ball. It kind of looked like it was going to be a halfback option pass
I'm down.
because Quez Watkins was wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Wide open. He did, he like blew past, and the moment that he gave it to Gainwell, you could tell he was a little, and I think it went for 2-yard loss, but you could tell he was like a little funny on what he was trying to do there. That made me think because Quez was so wide open that he was going to try to throw the ball, and obviously he didn't throw the ball because he got tackled pretty quickly. But
Give me some trickery. Hell yeah, give me some of those trickies, those flea
I don't think
flickers,
you
end
needed to.
arounds.
I don't think you needed to yesterday or Sunday because I think they had the game plan. Once they got that second touchdown and the 2-point conversion and made it 15-6, it was like they had control. Even when they didn't score on that first drive in the second half, our punter getting the ball and just knocking it on the 5 and bouncing it backwards. I mean, that's like golfer move. That's like a golfer move where it's like you could just hit it on the green and it starts to roll back towards the cup. Same thing that punter was doing. He was hitting that ball and it just the way it was landing was nice. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen all the time, but 2 punts at the 7-yard line is very, very nice. I like that. It was just it was like a full on great game by all.
Yeah, all three phases for sure look pretty solid. I want to say this. It was so refreshing to see for the first time in a long time. The Eagles had speed all over, and you saw it even from Jalen Hurts. Man, is it you? If you over pursue just a little bit, he'll kill you with the legs. And you kind of saw that a little bit on Sunday. We just talked about the running backs, Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell. The fact that Miles had 4 catches, that was pretty reassuring to see as well. Seeing him being active in the passing game because we knew that's been a problem for last season and training camp. You heard the same issues as well. So good to see that he's got that under his belt. And then with these wide receivers, man, the three-headed monster you can say right now with Devontae Smith, you got Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins, all of those guys. You saw the speed there, and that is so refreshing to see that there's an Eagles offense that has speed on the field. It's going to be tough to stop you. And when you saw them use that hurry up every once so often. And I really want them to sprinkle that into the offensive game plan here and there because when you're talking about the speed that the Eagles have, use that hurry-up offense. Make that defense tired, and they're not going to last very long. So that's definitely been the refreshing thing to see with the Eagles in 2021.
And huge kudos to the offensive line. I'm going to start with the bad first.
Please.
Say Amalu. It was like I can't tell if he was too busy paying attention to Brooks touch Kelsey's butt or just but it seemed like he was jumping off sides every other play. It's like, I know that you're trying to get a leg up somewhere, but you got a guy next to you who's making a lot more money now and was really excited about it because he was flattening people. I watched one Baldy put something out there and literally where it was like he showed Lane Johnson first and he just kind of pancaked the tap, that tackle. And then you had Mailata on his side and he pancaked that tackle and you had both the tackles on the ground. He's like, that's a beautiful thing. That's a thing of beauty. Take a picture of that because that was just amazing. And then Mailata on that one crushing block that everybody saw. It was posted everywhere where he just destroyed that guy. That's awesome. I can't wait to see that when he does real pulls. When he gets to pull and he gets in open field and he gets to just start to move people, that's going to be amazing to watch. To me,
I'm excited. To me, the bad was I just thought there was way too many calls on the offensive line, and that to me, you heard Sirianni talk about it in the press conference. The mindless things you have to be able to fix. You got to be perfect at those, and getting penalties is something you can control. You got to be able to fix that up, especially when you got a veteran group. But overall, it's not even just the line. To be honest with you, it was it was like a team effort. I thought the blocking on the day was pretty solid overall from your tight ends, your wide receivers, your offensive line. When we're starting to see like what the principles of this Eagles offense is, and you see the wrinkles of the Colts offense from before. You saw a lot of screens, bubble and tunnel screens. But even like on the first touchdown, that beautiful pass to Devontae Smith. If Zach Ertz doesn't just slow up both of those defensive backs, Devontae Smith doesn't have that edge and isn't able to be wide open on that pass. And that is what the Sirianni offense is. You work your butt off so someone else can make a play, and then someone else later on is going to repay you back with that same favor. And I thought that the offensive line, I thought Seumalo looked better than what I saw before, because on the pulls, like you mentioned, I saw him go downfield and I didn't see him stop. And that to me was pretty refreshing. And you know what? Here's the thing. I want to see Landon Dickerson out there. But the thing is if Landon Dickerson is the future for the center, I would rather see him wait there. There's no rush with Landon Dickerson right now. This 5, if they could stay healthy, that's the other issue. Remember, especially that right side of the offensive line. You know me, I love those guys dearly, but I don't know if they can play a full 17-game season now. So it's good to have that depth. And I love the principle. How about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? You know what? I get it. He was picked over DK Metcalf. We can never take that away. But did you know he was the highest rated blocking wide receiver in week 1? You know what? If that's how he's going to stay on this roster, so be it, because that's an important principle in this Eagles offense.
Right. And that I'm okay with that as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Do something, right?
You're going to wind up, in his case, he will wind up getting a couple of catches here and there because they're going to forget about him. They're going to say he's not going to get the ball thrown to him, and then he's going to wind up getting behind people and getting the ball thrown to him. So it's going to happen. It's going to take a few weeks to manifest.
Right.
I thought that. So the one caveat I have about Seumalo is that Seumalo has been with this offensive line. 4 of the 5 guys on the offensive line have played over like 80 games together. And that's the big deal. That's why I don't mind Seumalo out there.
I hear you, man.
I guess when they're doing a cadence, it's going to be better. You know what I mean? They were doing that silent count, and
he switched his number too.
Confused. He was getting confused. So
he switched his number as well.
I did see that. It's a little different. Yeah, I guess he needed to change something up. But
let me ask you, not to go too off topic, but real quick, what are your thoughts on the number changes? Like, is it weird to you see running backs wearing single digits, or receivers, or even linebackers?
No. Okay. No, I don't care. It makes me think of more college-like, though.
Right.
But I like the idea that they're doing that, because I think that when you're wearing a single digit, that signifies captain to me. So where I really feel like Slay is one of the captains on that defense. You know what I mean? I think that they look up to him, and I feel that that's important. I feel that that's really important. So I think that that's what the low numbers really signifies to me. Now, offensive, defensive line, if their numbers start to go to like number 7 or 8 or 9, I'm not going to be keen on that. You know what I mean? I don't mind the cornerbacks getting the numbers, low numbers in the single digits. I want the defensive line to still have high numbers. You know what I mean? That's what I want. I want 90s.
What if your quarterback wants to wear like 24?
Good for him. Good for him. You know what I mean? He better earn it. You know what I mean? Earn the number.
That's a good point. Good point.
It's like I got to imagine there's going to be somebody who's going to want to wear the number 20 here somewhere down the line, for the Eagles, and they're not going to be able to do so,
Yeah, I
without
don't think
asking
so.
permission. You know what I mean? You got to ask permission if you're going to do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and sometimes they'll give it, sometimes they don't. It depends on whether they like you or not. But
That's true.
my expectation is that somebody's going to want to wear it sometime. And it probably will be 30 years from now when somebody's going to want to ask that. It's like having the number 60. Number 60 isn't really that big of a deal,
Mm-hmm.
but Chuck's got that. You know what I mean? And that may live in infamy forever. That number 60 won't get used. Same thing with the number 15. Then you have Van Buren out there. He's just, he was like a god out there on the football field. He was really the only one that ever wore that number for the Eagles. So, I mean, my expectations is that wear whatever number you want. Just make sure you play, earn your number.
I agree.
So,
Before we move on from the offense, I wanted to talk about Dallas Goddard. I've been really critical of him and Miles Sanders. I feel like equally I've been really critical of those two, simply because I felt like they haven't played to their potential. I see two players that could be top 5 at both of their positions. I don't think they're there yet. But Dallas, to me, took the upper hand in the tight end position in week 1. What I saw in preseason and training camp, Jalen likes to go to tight ends, especially in short yardage situations. And you kind of saw that yesterday as well. You saw that touchdown pass to Dallas Goddard for the second touchdown. If Dallas Goddard wants to get paid, wants to stay here long term, he's got to ball out. He's got to be that guy. And that's a good first outing for me. 4 catches. He wants to get paid. I believe they were trying to do an extension before the season. I think he was asking for somewhere north of $8.5 million. So if he wants to get paid, you got to ball out. I told you that for me with tight ends, whoever the Eagles decide to move on with in 2022 between Dallas and Zach, it depends on their play in this season, and we'll see. Dallas to me's got the upper hand.
Well, Ertz did get a little dinged up in this game.
That's right.
So I can imagine that was probably the other reason. I don't have anything bad to say about Dallas Goddard this week. I do have a question mark in my head on the third down call where they threw that out. It was like a quick out pattern to Dallas Goddard, and I guess he came slow out of the route.
Mm-hmm.
Or it got thrown way too fast so that when he turned around, it was already past him. So he's like, it was just whatever it was. And I'll be honest, I said that should have been a running play. They've run the ball really well. Run it again.
Right.
Just get those 2 yards. And then they went for it on 4th down and they didn't get it, and ran the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that those plays should have maybe been switched.
Okay.
Go for 3rd down, they should have ran the ball. 4th down, they could have passed the ball. So ultimately, and I think that was part of the rookie coach. I think he may have saw the same thing I saw, and ultimately was like, okay, I know that for next time. We'll see. I mean, obviously, you don't expect perfection in week 1.
Right.
From all the facets of the team, including the coach. So that was part of what one of the things that I had seen. I liked him being aggressive on 4th down, even though he didn't make either one of those calls. That one play wound up being an incomplete pass. The other one wound up getting stopped, about a quarter of a yard short. It almost looked like he made it, but again, I wasn't there on the field to say, hey, you guys are spotting the ball wrong. I felt that the call came back to us, maybe in the end zone, whether that was a catch or it dropped. You couldn't really tell on my side. You can't tell on their screen up there. They have that screen. It's a big circle. As they call it, it was Megatron's butt hole. So and it's literally and how are we going to tell from up there? It's like it was just everybody. All the Atlanta fans are like, yeah, it touched the ground, and then of course they scored a touchdown, and I was excited about that. So
Well, so kind of tying in our offense to our defense as we transition here, but like I said, Dallas Goddard's looking for that extension, and could possibly that extension come sooner rather than later after that performance. A couple hours ago, we got the news that the Eagles and Fletcher Cox have restructured his deal. They converted almost 14 million of his base salary into a signing bonus. With that deal, that now opens up $11 million in cap space, and I would predict that they're trying to re-sign some of their guys long term with that type of move. But to me, you alluded to the fact how in the beginning of this game, those first two drives, they weren't really gashing us for big plays, but they were gashing us for smaller plays. They had a couple first downs. The fact that they had Cordell Patterson, a wide receiver, a longtime wide receiver play running back, I thought that was hilarious. But he had a couple nice carries, Mike Davis as well. But to me, the story of the defense on Sunday, I saw what Jonathan Gannon is. And for the first time, I feel like in Eagles history, we have someone who can play chess with these offensive coordinators in the NFL. And we know how the NFL has changed into this complex, type of, well, not really complex, but these quick spread option offenses trying to create guys to get open. And he's someone that can match that type of intelligence with some of these offensive coordinators. The adjustments he made throughout the games to kind of combat what Atlanta was throwing at him, you saw adjustments from him. You saw different types of looks from this Eagles defense, and I thought that, to me, that was the main thing I took away. The defensive line definitely did their job, especially in that second half. They picked it up. Fletcher Cox, don't look at the stat sheet. To me, I saw it on the field, the pressure he was doing. I'll tell you what. Those guards of the Atlanta Falcons, Sunday night, waking up into Monday morning, they had nightmares thinking of Fletcher Cox, pushing them back all game long. Hargrave got a sack. Hargrave is someone that I'm going to be critical about this year because we've been paying the guy, and year one was kind of a dud. And the defensive ends, Brandon Graham, I'm still thinking about that Mike Davis pop. My man knocked the air out of him. So to start off, man, that defensive line looked great for me in week one. And we know it's going to be a focal point in this first year under Jonathan Gannon.
And again, I'll start with the good here. I like the fact, well, I didn't like the fact because I actually wanted to see a blitz, and he didn't blitz at all. Not at all. Like, I felt like he still held all his cards really close to the vest. He didn't need to. And ultimately, those running plays that start off Wilson, where are you going? Wilson, what are you doing? Wilson. I tell you, he was the reason. Like, he was having a hard time making a tackle.
It's definitely a weak point.
And so he flies to the ball. And that's the one thing I kind of like. However, he will sometimes over pursue. He will sometimes he goes up more towards the shoulder pads than towards the center of body. That was what I saw from him, and that's that linebacker position that we are so really big on. Again, was part of the reason why they were able to move the ball, and they started to compensate for that.
Mm-hmm.
They started to compensate for the fact that you saw Slay in on a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
Which I felt was a little odd, but I think that Slay was compensating for the linebacker, for Wilson specifically, because Wilson over pursued a lot. And that is a little bit from what I was listening to today, was a little bit of his MO.
And you saw Anthony Harris come up a lot playing in the box throughout the game as well. In that type of role too.
Right. Because ultimately, I think they needed to protect that center of the field. They did not, last year we saw it all season long. The center of the field just get crushed, and they were doing whatever they could to protect that area. And I like that. And it's like they knew that they weren't getting close to,
right.
Close to the quarterback, and even though they weren't getting any interceptions and they only got 3 sacks, obviously Hargrave got 2 of them.
Yeah, man.
So he had 2 sacks. on the day. I don't think, I have to go as far as to say that I don't think that Matty Ice, it may be the wind down of his career this year.
Oh man, that was definitely a mistake by Atlanta.
Yeah, it's like he's just not, you know, they talked about maybe getting a quarterback for the draft and they didn't do it. And I think that they're going to learn to regret. And just to give you his numbers, I mean, he went 21 for 35 for 164
That's the
yards,
crazy part.
3 sacks, and he had a rating of 71.6. So he did not have a very good day. And Pitts was targeted a lot.
He
Ridley was
targets.
targeted a lot. I fully expect that Pitts is going to be targeted a tremendous amount because he's not going to have the time. He's just not going to have the time to get the ball. So that offensive line is horrid. Horrid.
And here's what I'll say. To your blitzing point. Now, last season it irritated all of us because Jim was there for the 5 years, right? Barely ever blitz. And when you were talking about times where the defensive line got tired, they weren't getting that pressure, throw a freaking blitz. Here's my thing. Week 1, like you said, you got 3 sacks. I thought the defense did a solid job. But this defensive line between Hargrave, Cox, and Brandon Graham is making a significant amount of money. That defensive line needs to get that push. Now, you're going to face off against much more difficult offensive lines. That is when I need to see some blitzing if you're not getting that pressure from your front four. Right now, you're still seeing a lot of the personnel from the Jim Schwartz era that Jonathan Gannon has to kind of work with that. And right now, because your linebackers are pretty weak, I don't know if it's a good idea to start throwing them all this freaking time at starting to get some blitzing. Yes, we can throw different things when we need to. Linebacker blitz. I love something about a defensive back blitzing. I don't know if it's from me growing up watching the jersey that you have on right now, Brian Dawkins, and seeing him getting those sacks. But I love like watching safeties and cornerbacks going after for those blitzes. So I definitely think we'll see that, but I don't think Gannon is ready to rush to go to that card. And to your point about Atlanta in this past offseason, they're going to regret not looking for Matt Ryan's replacement, because right now what you're going to see, and it's kind of up. I hate watching that. Like I hate watching players like rot. Like when you saw Calvin Johnson rot away in Detroit, that was hard to watch. Matt Ryan, you know what? I genuinely believe he's going to be a Hall of Fame candidate when it's all said and done for him. Watching him rot in Atlanta is going to be tough to watch as a football purist. So Atlanta, man, you enjoy Kyle Pitts, but if you don't got a team around him, what does it even matter?
Exactly. And my expectation is that they are going to, they're going to stink this year.
They might get the first pick next year. That's how bad they could be.
Well, knowing that Jacksonville is, that hot mess lost to the other hot mess in Houston was interesting to me in general. So
I think Jacksonville's still trying to tank, if I'm being honest.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least bit because they were, I don't know.
They traded our boy Sidney Jones right before the season started to Seattle. And that was like a promising guy for me. Like he showed some flashes last year, and they were like, you know what? We could probably get a draft pick for him. Let's just flip him.
Right. So, so we'll see how Atlanta does. Atlanta is probably a 3 or 4 win team at most. I don't know that they're going to be able to pull it together. I don't know that they're going to have the wares to be able to really stand up against like nobody in their division. Obviously we saw the Saints come out really strong. We watched Tampa Bay come back against Dallas.
Yeah, they're gonna be strong.
And do their thing. And then who else is in that division?
Our boy. Nice. I love
that's
Matty.
right.
I love
you know
Matty.
what? And that's exactly it. I expect Carolina to do a lot better. So I don't know that they'll make the playoffs, but I think Carolina is going to be tough to, a tough team to go up against. And I see Atlanta being the dreck of that division.
But
And
it's crazy. Like they went from the Super Bowl. I know we went through like a decline, but they've gone into a much worse slow decline. And looking at, because I know we joke about Mercedes Benz being the home of Atlanta United, but it is really bad when the Falcons are putrid playing in that stadium. Like there's no like you literally were right there. There's no home field advantage there. And that's another problem. It's one of those eras in Falcons football, and it's tough for Atlanta. If you're an Atlanta sports fan, enjoy the Hawks, enjoy Atlanta United, because it's gonna be tough for Falcons Nation.
I agree. So let's talk about who we go up against next week. The San Francisco 49ers come into Philadelphia for our home opener. And just
Yes.
before I get into the home opener, because I gotta do our touting here a little bit. We're doing the Birds tailgate here at the Gatehouse. The Gatehouse on the Navy Yard. $89 a ticket, includes food, beverage, and parking. We're going to have shuttle service, little golf cart shuttle service to take you from the Gatehouse over to the game, so that you don't have to walk 15, 20 minutes from the Navy Yard to get to the stadium. So it's $89. All food and beverage is covered. Definitely want to come check that out. PhillySportsTrips.com. And then, of course, the following week, Monday Night Football in Dallas. It's going to be a big one. Dallas is a little upset. They actually looked pretty good. I will say that I will give Dak his due. He came out looking a lot better than I expected him to. I thought he'd be a little bit more timid on that leg, and he was not. So I will give a little tout to them. But definitely come check out the tailgate at the Gatehouse. And like I said, you're going to see us there. I heard a little rumor. There's a little rumor floating around that Brian Westbrook may also be attending my tailgate. So you definitely want to come see the Philly sports guy with his very first tailgate with Philly Sports Trips. And that's where we're doing it at the Gatehouse in the Navy Yard. You have to go to PhillySportsTrips.com to get the tickets.
Can I just ask, please don't tackle him this time? I don't think Brian can handle it at this age.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle it at this age, tackling it. So we were both a lot younger back then. That was back in 2003. That's where that jersey came from.
Yes, sir.
And I did get to tell him that story, which was an amazing story back in the day.
He's a great dude.
And he kind of remembered it. He's like, I do remember that type of thing happening. So, but it was just, again, that was eons ago. And I remember just like it was yesterday. But anyways, the 49ers went up against the Lions, who also could be considered as part dreck in this league.
Yeah.
And they
almost let it slip.
Well, they didn't really let it slip. The score was I'm not even going to tell you the score, because we think of this score in a much different way than everybody else.
Doesn't do it justice.
Exactly. So it was the same score as Super Bowl 52. So I'm just going to leave it like that. However, they gave up a tremendous amount of first downs. It was San Francisco gave up 31 first downs, although the Lions were only 4 for 15 on third down efficiency, 430 yards. 314 yards passing. I know a lot of that was in the catch up, but it still happened. 115 yards, 116 yards rushing. The 49ers are not the Super Bowl team from a couple years ago.
That's true.
So, obviously they do have some good guys on that defensive line, and the offensive line is going to be tested a lot more this week than it was last week. So I fully expect that they are going to be a little bit more. We're going to get to see if Jordan Mailata can earn earn that money because I
Mhm.
know that they're going to test him. That's going to be a really big deal. He's going to be tested. They're going to give him tons of stunts, tons of different blitz options, packages, lots of different looks. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough to try to read. I mean, that's going to be for Hurts and Mailata and that side of the line. It's going to be very interesting to watch how that works. They do things a lot differently over there. Garoppolo actually had a pretty good game, threw for over 300 yards. I think it was like 314 yards. They did get Trey Lance in there for one pass. Their rushing was Eli Mitchell, ran for 104 yards on 19 carries. Deebo Samuel, 9 receptions, 189 yards, 1 touchdown.
They got some receivers, some good young ones.
And then, of course, Kittle only had 4 receptions for 78 yards. So they actually have a number of different things.
Did Ayuk play? Brandon Ayuk?
Ayuk was hurt, I thought.
Was he hurt? Okay.
Yeah, I think he was hurt. He doesn't show any stats here.
Okay.
And Mostert is also hurt.
Yeah, season-ending injury I saw. Season-ending surgery I saw he got today.
Is it season ending? I heard it was 8 weeks, but
I saw today he was going to get surgery because I don't think he got the surgery. Be wrong. There was a notification that I received today, but I saw that he got some backlash on social media. Him and his wife, with some unkind stuff. But that was that's what I thought I saw. But here it is. Mozart posts on social media that he will undergo season-ending knee surgery, and that was an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
So more recently.
So we're getting up to the moment things here. So obviously Mostert's not going to be in, but the other guy did run for 100 yards. So obviously they got somebody who's going to be able to do it. Eli Mitchell is a little bit more of a stud than I guess they originally thought. And like I said, Deebo Samuel is their big receiver. Of course, George Kittle is good. They got Mohamed Sanu, who only got 1 catch in the game. That's and then I think they sacked Goff 3 times.
Okay.
That is correct. They sacked him 3 times. So it's they lost the time of possession. I mean, Detroit had the ball longer and such. So it's interesting to me. Score is what it is. You can't really help that. And I saw that there was probably a couple of big plays during that. I think this is going to be an interesting test, early season test.
Right.
We get them here. It's a 1:00 game. That means it's 10:00 their time that they get to play this game. And it's going to, that benefits us. I think that helps us in a big, big way. So I wouldn't surprise me if the Eagles happen to catch them a little bit better than what they normally would. Like that's kind of what my expectations are. I think that they are going to have a similar game plan that like we said last week, that we want them to run the ball so that they could do the play action. It didn't quite start that way. They passed, then ran. But ultimately, I feel like that they did have a running game plan, and they stuck with it all game long. Obviously, in the second half, it was more to wind them down, get them beat. I fully expect that they're going to need to do that a little bit more. They're going to have to go around the corners because that center of that line, of the 49ers line, is stacked there. It's similar to the Eagles. So they actually have a lot of girth in that center of the line. And will definitely try to stop any of the run game from that point. So they're going to have to get around the edges and start to do those types of things. But I fully expect I thought that the Eagles were going to start 3-0. I'm not changing from that. I think that they still will go 3-0. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I fully expect we'll see our first blitz in about 5, since the Super Bowl. And I have the Eagles winning this game 27-25.
Oh my God. Okay. Look, straight up. I mean, you kind of laid it out there. This is a winnable game. It is straight up a winnable game. What I think I'm looking more to is seeing how Sirianni keeps these guys even keeled. I mean, before week 1, there was no expectation. Everyone had these low expectations for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they showed out and they took care of a bad team. Now, I want to make sure that these guys don't have their heads too big. I saw a lot of celebration, and they should definitely celebrate. That was their first win as a unit under the Nick Sirianni era. But now you got to go up and you got to play against a team that's definitely better than the Atlanta Falcons. You will be at home. San Francisco's going to travel cross country. That's a tough schedule for San Francisco. 2 straight away games to start off the season. I don't know who they play in week 3, but still two away games to start the season is definitely tough. So they're going to be in here. To me, one of the factors, and you're part of it as well, the home crowd needs to be wild. It's the home opener in a new era after a win. That is going to be a factor. You gotta make that place loud. Make it feel like the vet, So that definitely is going to be a factor within this game. Offensively wise, I agree with you. You got to get that running game going. I mean, you saw what the Lions were able to do a little bit there. You got to be able to run that ball. If the running game is prevalent for this Eagles offense, it should make a life easier for Jalen Hurts because he's able to play his game. And that to me is what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot more of the same stuff that we saw against Atlanta, and I think you just have to find those weaknesses for the San Francisco 49ers. Throw those small stuff, that short stuff that we saw, get the yak. It's clear that is a big part of this Eagles offense. Defensively is where I'm more concerned about. I want to see what this defense can do in week 2. I talked about how Jonathan Gannon has done a great job so far of making adjustments within games. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulder, and we need to see that in week 2. We know what the weakness is with this Eagles defense. It is that linebacking core. And when you're talking about Shanahan's zone offense, it's like you said, it's a lot of running, a lot of shifting, a lot of pulls, a lot of just going right at it at the linebackers. There's going to be a lot of play action plays, a lot of rollouts, putting those linebackers on skates. So they're going to try to attack that. So we'll see how Jonathan Gannon is able to scheme up to kind of, disguise that weakness that we have. I know it's going to be tough, but you know what? And I will say Eric Wilson is a veteran linebacker. I expect him to step up and have a bounce back game in week 2. This isn't Nate Gary that we're talking about. This is an actual veteran NFL linebacker. So I expect him to kind of step up as well. But we saw what the Atlanta Falcons did in the first half in week 1. They were running with you on Cordell Patterson, and this is a much better running game that the San Francisco has. I want to see this run defense step it up and don't allow big gash plays to happen. So I agree with you. It's going to be a winnable game. It's going to be a great environment down in South Philly. I'm excited to watch the Birds at this high flying offense in the link. That's really what I want to see. It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a close one. And I think that the Eagles are going to come out victorious here. I think I'm going to go 27-24. I know you said 27-25, but I'm going 27-24. And one more point before I move on. I don't like this whole 2 QB system that we're seeing in the NFL. I really don't. It reminds me of college. Like we saw it here last year with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. Get your quarterback and stick to him. Bad teams do the two QB system. And at the end of the day, the Niners eventually at some point this season, the Niners are going to have to ask themselves, who are we going with in 2022? Is it Jimmy G or is it Trey Lance? You got to make that decision.
Well, and I think ultimately Jimmy G makes the cut. Obviously, he had a really good game. Let me see what his stats were.
Threw for a lot, right? Threw a lot of yards.
314 yards, I thought. I don't have a 17 for 25 for 314, 1 touchdown. So he only threw for 1 touchdown. They rushed, I guess, for.
But that's crazy to think too, because he literally less than 2 years ago, he was in a Super Bowl where 10 minutes left in that Super Bowl, he had the lead, and now we're talking about potentially the Niners moving on from him eventually. That's crazy to think. I think he still has something left. I think he's a solid arm in this league. But the Niners clearly see something that we don't. And the injuries is also a problem too, right? We saw that with Carson Wentz too. So if you can't say durable, teams have a tough time committing to you.
Right. So, and But ultimately, I mean, he's got a good pedigree. He does have a
Right.
couple of Super Bowl rings, even as a backup. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's still a big deal because
Exactly.
he's still, somebody's got to hold that clipboard. It was him. You know what I mean? And he was supposed to be the heir apparent, and Brady said no, thank you. So, but yes, although I hear you about Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance could be a great matchup. We're not going to see that.
Right.
We're definitely not going to see that. It's obviously Garoppolo had a good enough game to keep the starting position, even though Trey Lance did throw a touchdown pass for 5 yards. He only threw one pass, touchdown, 5 yards. That was the end of that. So, and I'm sure that was in mostly the garbage time when they didn't want to put Garoppolo back out there again. They said that let's give him some time. He gets that last touchdown, and then literally wound up being a bad beat because I think the spread was 9, and out of nowhere Detroit scored 15 points to catch up to make it within within the 8, 41-33. So
Right.
I don't know if the 49ers were just giving it up at that time or if it was something that Detroit was finally doing right. They finally maybe figured it out. It's interesting to think about that. It's a lot of points to give up against. You wouldn't expect the 49ers that supposedly have a very good defense to be able to kind of do that, but, to give that up. But they did. And if they gave that up to Goff and the Lions, what could they possibly do against us? Our speed is really going to have to come into play here.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to get that separation. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out here on this Sunday. And of course, the Eagles are dogs at home.
We love that.
What did I see? 3.5 points.
Yeah.
It might be less than that now or more than that. It might go up even. Who knows? But 3.5 point home dog for their home opener. Yep. And
I love it.
For a team that's in first place, I mean, everybody in the NFC West won week 1. Everybody won that.
How about everyone else in the NFC East? What do they do?
Well, they all lost. Actually, every team in the West, every team, NFC West, AFC West, all won. Everybody who plays in a West division is 1-0. And it's that, they said it was it's not since 1968 that one division actually won all their games to start off a season, and now it happened twice in the same season. So, but literally everybody in the West is 1-0. Of course, out of all the teams that had tough, the 49ers did not have it so tough against the Detroit Lions. So it might be one of those times where we finally get to see what Deuce Staley. I mean, Deuce Staley is up there in Detroit, so we're going to see him
Running
around
backs
Halloween.
coach. Yeah,
we'll see him around Halloween, but
and
we'll see if that's any better.
Another good note for Eagles fans: Carson Wentz did play all of his snaps, so we're on our way, guys. We're on our way.
Yep, and sacked 5 times from holding the ball too long. So,
but the offensive line, why is it playing so bad? This is literally what they were asking themselves. It's like, you weren't in Philadelphia last year. It's not really your offensive line all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we'll see. The Giants looked.
Oh my God,
they looked bad. But bad.
Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, well, he's franchise somewhere, and the only thing I do have to say, I mean, obviously Monday Night Football game was a great game. Thursday Night Football, throughout my entire life of watching Tom Brady, I maybe saw 1 or 2 commercials that he was in.
Yeah.
Did it not seem that Thursday night was every commercial?
Yeah.
That Subway commercial where he got the rope. I'm like, are you kidding me? That looks so retarded. But I don't even know if I'm supposed to use that word. But anyways, I mean, it just looks so ridiculous that I'm like, and he looked like he was in every commercial. All of a sudden, he's getting paid a lot of money. So, doing all those ads and commercials and stuff like that.
Well, people people forget he took a lot of discounts in all those years in New England so they can build a complete team for him. And now he's just trying to get paid, and you can't blame him.
Yeah, he took a discount this year too, so just so that he could get everybody in. But anyways, thank you very much, everybody,
Yeah.
for watching us. It's our third season. It's the third season of the Birds Breakdown, and we're going to be back doing it again next Monday at 7:00. It won't be a Tuesday. It'll be on Monday because I won't have to travel next week. It'll be a lot more fun, and you will catch me and El Parcero, Philly, back here doing this. We're going to rerun this at 7:00 tonight, so that you can come back and watch it again if you'd like. But in the meantime, go Birds, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Go Birds.
Yeah.